How's it, guys? Welcome back to Rex to Rides. We have a new feature on our videos. Like Instagram, you get all the filters. We got us a smoke filter, which I quite like. So if I cough every now and well, that's why. So anyway, we are still turning our hard-earned cash into broken hearts and unfulfilled projects, or fucking however it goes. I forget now. Anyway, so the idea behind Rex to Rides is that we like working on the cars. We get them, we work on it, and the car has to be the right amount of fucked to get it for next to nothing, but that it won't cost you too much to fix. And basically fix it up, but we fix it proper. There isn't a single bolt that doesn't come off and get done properly. And then the idea is and always was to fix it and flip it, but we never get around to the flipping bit. I think the only fucking car sold is the Toylander Land Rover, which I still need to make a video out of the pictures. I didn't get a video at the time. Anyway, so as a result, you end up with a lot of cars parked in your front garden and back garden. So, yeah. We are not always restoring, we also repairing. Because there's a Toyota here, and that's just one of them. And this car's a little bit special, and I'll tell you why. It belongs to my stepsister, who is the one she's looking after a whole fucking family as a single mom and doing a really good job. So I said to her, bring the fucking thing in for a service, because, like, it's a diesel. Well, if you don't service diesel, the thing's going to die on you. Petrol, you might get away with. Diesel, you are not. And so it's here, the Mahindra station wagon SUV, something like V Scorpio. It's a very pretty car. You don't want to be in for an injectable on this. It's 50 grand. First thing I noticed was my stainless steel bonnet holder, because the lifters are gone. The battery's a little bit fucking toast. And some other items. It is stainless steel, look. Stainless steel MIG wire. It's not actually MIG welding wire, it's stainless steel TIG rods. But nonetheless, let's not split hairs and let's get to the surface. So the first thing about a service which you got to understand is there's two very important things. The first important thing, do not let the person know that you have no fucking idea what you're talking about. Secondly, know your torque settings. Look them up. They're on Google. I've just loosened the sump plug because, you want your engine to be warm enough that the oil viscosity is thin enough to flow out nicely, but not cold. So you don't want to do it first thing in the morning, because this oil is probably, it's probably classified as a solid by now. And so know your torque settings. And I've just cracked the sump plug, which is obviously on the sump, which is under the car at the back, but very accessible. It's really not too bad. And it was literally almost fucking finger tight, so that was a load of bollocks. That was not good at all. Service kit for this is very simple. It's an air filter, it's an oil filter, it's a diesel filter, and it's some oil. So there's your diesel filter, nice one. It's very tidy. The reason why I like it, it's got a hand pump. So when you look at some of your Kia Sorentos and that, you can even fill that thing with diesel. And sometimes you've actually got to take it to a dealer to get it on a diagnostic, to get the pump working, to run it through so you don't burn out your starter motor. Oil filter is down here. It's not the paper type. It's a solid steel type. And I don't know who the fuck put it in there, but anyway, we're going to have to, because you see it's in there. You can't get it from the bottom, because the engine mount underneath it is our toasty battery here. We got some more battery water. Also look around. You see, always look at your dipstick. You're going to find yourself with a couple of O-rings that are worn, causing that. We'll clean it up with some Coca-Cola. And so let's get cracking. First things first, I like it to be a little bit warm. Oh, no air filter in here, so I'm going to start draining the oil. Then I'm going to get the air filter off, make sure we got the right one, and then we're going to tackle that. So I like to give it a really good long drain. I also have a very old Omar tin, as you can see. It's a tin. So if you drop hot oil in it, you don't go melting plastic. So let's get cracking, get that off, get it draining, and then we're going to start with the air filter. All right, guys. Well, the good news is we're giving the oil plenty of time to drain. The bad news is this car is kicking my ass. What a fucking mission. So the air filter looks like, fuck, this thing is breathing like an 80-year-old man who smoked Gunston or Texan plain his whole life. Check how fucked it is. Well, you can't have this on your car, huh? This is terrible. So they hadn't have stock. The whole assembly has to come off. So if you're thinking of quickly changing your air filter, don't, because you have to get the whole box out because of one little lip here. It's lovely. It's a fun job. And make sure you keep loads of rags on hands. I'll tell you why. That pipe goes down to your turbo. You do not want to drop a bolt in there. It will be the end of your motor. And then over here is your mass airflow sensor coming out. So they're all kind of like intertwined, sort of like a, I don't even want to go there. Nonetheless, moving along at a swift pace. And then this is your mass airflow sensor. This is a very interesting item. It basically measures how much air is going in your motor, and it works on a little wire that's in there. It's heated. Some of them have got more than one connector. This has got 5. So it will have a thermometer in there, and then it actually heats up that wire to a certain temperature and runs a current through it. The amount of air flowing over it cools it down, and its resistance changes with the amount it's cooled or the amount it's warmed, and that's how it measures how much air is going in through the motor. One would think they had a little wind vane, but let's not have more moving parts because this is a bit of a fuck up, this one. Nonetheless, shall we keep that one covered also? Just don't spray sensor cleaner on that. Don't do anything to that. If you have a problem with that, take it to a specialist. It's obviously a very sensitive little thing. And here we have our... And this was last serviced at a dealership of all places. This diesel filter is so tight, I cannot get it off any other way. So I also cannot get the sensor off. So what they actually did, and this is the thing with the dealership, they're so limited by time. This car has it's a one-owner car, only been serviced at a dealer. And they've actually just cut the sensor off to take it out, to put it in a vise, to get it off. And that's how they save time. So far, the only thing that has not wanted to injure me was a sump plug, because that was finger tight, and this air filter or oil filter, which is in a very unhappy little place. Just in case you want to like completely lose your mind and service your own Mahindra, that's where it is. It's down there. Your diesel filter is here. And there's our current nightmare of an air filter. So let's just leave the cap on for there, finger tight, so air can get down, drain nicely. Now we're just going to swap this out. And then I'm going to have to get these banjo plugs off and really follow the same procedure, but I'm going to do that joint a lot better. I might even actually just put a proper electrical connection in so that we don't have this struggle again. The next time they're servicing, they can just take it out and they can put it back in properly and not just cover it with insulation tape, because that's a nightmare. So the saga continues. So far, I must admit, it's not too bad, but yeah, I'll let you know a bit later. Oil filters. So everywhere on your oil filter, and we've actually figured out what happened here with the last service, why the sump plug was so loose, because he drained the oil and then he had to put the sump plug in quickly, just finger tight, to take the oil, because you don't want to go sticking your finger in the new oil and lining up the seal on the new oil filter. And he forgot to go back underneath and put it up to the correct torque. They say everywhere on these, do not over tighten, and they mean it, do not over tighten, because I've over tightened it once, and what happens is this rubber actually pinches up and causes a leak, and then there's oil all over the road. So what I like to do is I like to hand tighten it and then get the little claws on and just give it a little bit extra, and that's more than sufficient. Let's do it. Righty, the machine did not win. I had to take the whole unit off, which I did with some success. Put in a vise and knock that off. And generally, you guys, hey, oil filters. Hey, let's talk about oil filters and filters of the like. That is the best spanner you can get for an oil filter. It's removed it without damaging it. You don't want to damage these things. You don't want to run a screwdriver through them. If you cannot get your hands on a spare and your spare part doesn't fit and you've run a screwdriver through it, you're not driving that car anywhere until you go and get yourself another filter. Who knows, maybe where, maybe you're stuck with no cars. So before I've opened it, I've checked that all the little goodies fit. They all fit. At the bottom of this thing is a water sensor. Tell you if there is any water in your diesel. And now this, we do the same with the oil. I'm going to try to do it this way, except we are lubricating it with diesel, because that's what goes inside. You can also use silicone paste. You can also use a little bit of oil, but if you're using grease or anything, use silicone paste, because it's non-petroleum. But there we go. I'm going to actually put the bottom sensor on and then fill it with diesel, try to get it back on. It's just easier to fill it first before we start. Probably should have cleaned my hands first before we start hand priming it all the way. So I have bought an extra 5 liters of diesel. So this goes, we just fill this on, pop it on, and then put the banjo joints on. These are your banjo joints. You can see I've tied them nicely out the way, and I put a cable tie around there to stop that copper washer from falling off, because that's gone, you're getting another copper washer. Oil filters in, and we are still waiting on another air filter because we got the wrong one. In the interim, we're going to pop this in, we're going to bleed it up. There's a bleed screw on the side, we're going to go over that process. We're going to change the O-ring on this, we're going to clean the battery up, check the battery water, and just clean up a little bit and see what we can do while we're waiting for an air filter. Update in another 5 hours. Just on this diesel filter, we're going to see there's a little water sensor at the bottom. Don't forget to put both connectors on. And they provide it with a new washer here. So don't forget to take this washer off there and put a new one on. And lubricate with diesel. So still on, here we have it assembled. And everything that seems great. What I've discovered is that that lip of that filter sits on the bracket. If you can see here, the holes don't line up. This is not the correct filter holder for this car or bracket. Somewhere down the line, someone has something's gone wrong, because I can't imagine it would come from auto manufacturers like that. There's just not enough offset. So what was happening is they would put it on and put it that way and then bolt it on, so you cannot get the diesel filter off. So I'm actually going to have to trim a bit in here to just accommodate for that lip. Down the line, when you need to service it again, you can just quickly whip off the fuel filter, the diesel filter, because really, you know, let's just think ahead a bit. If the next guy who works on this car is struggling, he's going to do a cuck job, because he's going to do the same thing. So let's not let that happen. Let's trim it up nicely, and just a little groove in there, and so make sure the next person who lays hands on this car goes through the service swimmingly. And there you have it. Our little modification actually fits the filter in, and there's plenty of clearance there. Bolts can go on nicely. So the next guy who works on this thing isn't going to suckle his tits off. And as it turns out, the bracket had been broken, so Mahindra had replaced it with another bracket, but this isn't well done. Really, they should have just machined it a bit. Bright and shiny and new. So now what had happened is this bracket had actually broken. They'd done a makeshift thing, but their makeshift thing wasn't a great shift thing. So a little mod works. That's popped on. Everything's on. So now you can actually get in here with just a normal strap type. Let's look at it. Oh, these are the only things that work on diesel filters. There's not enough space for a claw wrench in there. Oil filters in, we've got some penetrating oil on that now. Let's see. Maybe not. We've given this a good clean around here so no dust falls in. And now we are ready to put oil in the car. We still don't have an air filter, but we can do the oil. Now, I've done the sump up. I've actually done it to about 30 newtons. Should be roughly within spec. And now, don't just, when you're putting your oil in, don't just mud it in. You know, the car takes 7.5 liters. Let's just mud in a 5 liter. Because let me tell you, the day will come, and it has come for me, where you're wiping 5 liters of oil off your driveway because you forgot to put in the fucking sump plug. So put it in a little bit, and then have a look underneath, have a look everywhere for leaks, little bit. And then also, once you've topped up, remember, on this car, you cannot fill your oil filter. It goes in upside down. So you can't even see it because it's black. And so you're going to put it in and you're going to run the motor for a few minutes and you're going to check the oil level. But before you check the oil, check your owner's manual. And the owner's manual will state the procedure for checking oil. This thing says you must be running at operating temperature. Leave it for 15, switch off, leave for 15 minutes, then check the oil. All cars are different. I heard of a guy who bought a Ferrari for $50,000 because it sounded like a bag of nuts and bolts, and it turned out it was either overfilled or underfilled because whoever put the oil in didn't follow a simple procedure of reading the owner's manual, and he had either overtopped it or undertopped it. So look at the service manual. Every car is different, and figure out how to check your oil. And there you have it, buttoned up and ready to go.